Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Elizabeth Fisher. Mrs. Elizabeth, how are you doing, ma?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm fine. Thank you very much, ma. Firstly, you are an EFT International Accredited Coach, and you are also an Energy Makeover EFT Coach. Can you please, ma, discuss more about yourself and how you're doing currently now, ma?
Yes, so I am an emotional freedom techniques practitioner, an EFT practitioner. And what that means is that I'm certified to work with people to teach them how to use tapping, which it's also referred to as tapping, and to help remove energy blocks. It's a form of energy medicine. And I'm very uh, highly trained in this, and I've been practicing for it's been almost 6 years this year.
Wow, that's very nice. Thank you so much, ma. And do you also have books you've probably written? Because I checked, but do you have books you've written, or are you also planning to write books, ma?
Books.
Yes, ma.
I actually am working with a woman in the UK right now that she has already published a tapping book on trichotillomania, which is a hair pulling disorder that I used to have. And that's the reason that I found tapping to begin with. And it helped me overcome this affliction, which is compulsive hair pulling disorder. It's referred to as trichotillomania. And I am in the process of writing an addition to her manual to help you stop pulling your hair. And I'm also in the process of writing a manual on how to stop pulling your hair with tapping. So, other than that, that's all I have in the works right now, but that's still kind of a big undertaking. So I've got that going on.
All right, we will be expecting it, Mrs. Elizabeth. And I was just checking on your bio. Can you please, ma, talk to us about the courses you had in Best with Best C? And you also said your goal is to help one to remove their subconscious blocks and become a better version of themselves. Can you please, ma, discuss more on that, ma?
Yes. So when I'm working with someone, when we're doing coaching, someone will come to me usually with a problem, a physical pain, something that they want to overcome, a block that is keeping them stuck. It could be personally, it could be emotionally. I do work with a lot of people that have this addiction to hair pulling. So they come to me to work on these specific issues, something that they can't get over using other techniques or using medication. And we kind of start from the beginning, like when did you first have this problem? When did this start? What was going on in your life? And um, we kind of go through a uh, sequentially what's been going on, and we tap together to remove the block of whatever the stuck energy around that is. And an example would be with my hair pulling clients, if you have a belief, what would your belief be about hair pulling? And when people find me to work with me for hair pulling disorder, they're like they're stumped. Nothing works. This is like their last effort is to try something unconventional like tapping. And um, they might have a belief like I'm never going to be able to stop this. It's never going to stop. I'm never going to be able to stop this. So we kind of break down where did that belief come from? What you know we tap around that. We also some other aspects around that might come up. It might be uh, something from your childhood could come up, something from a past life could come up, something that you need cleared. So stuck energy meaning there's a block. If you refer to chakras are like spinning wheels in your body. There are more than seven, but seven chakras that we talk about in general, and they're spinning wheels of energy. And this is similar to what we're working with in EFT when we're tapping. we that energy is usually going in the wrong direction, keeping you stuck. You can't find a new job, you can't get a promotion, you can't find a partner. There's usually a reason why something happened in the past. So we're kind of unsticking those blocks with tapping, and I'm guiding you through that process. And so we kind of progress and peel away the layers of the onion, if you will, of kind of your emotional baggage or any kind of traumas that you're holding on to. So that's really what EFT tapping does, and that's when I see clients, we work together to get rid of those energy blocks. So
Hmm.
that's kind of in a nutshell how it works.
All right, ma. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. And can you please, ma, explain what emotional freedom techniques, that's the EFT, is, and how do you think it works, ma?
So it works by, so we use acupressure points. We use 9 acupressure points on our body. And I'm not actually tapping on you, I am tapping with you. I am coaching you how to tap. So you're tapping on your own body. And we're using these 9 acupressure points that are part of Chinese medicine. They are part of the acupuncture points that are found all over the body. There's hundreds, actually thousands of them all over our body that kind of have energy that flows into them and out of them. And so when we're tapping, we're just using 9 of these points, and we I guide you by kind of, we do a little bit of an intake when you come to work with me, and we'll talk a little bit about what you want to work on that day, and I'll form some statements that we tap about. And a lot of people talk about, uh, refer to EFT as emotional acupuncture because it's like a form of talk therapy, but we're adding in this extra layer of using these acupressure points. So we're accessing the energy in those different areas of our body to kind of focus in on what we want to heal. So I'll come up with some wording. We will tap through these points, these 9 points together, and you're repeating the words after me. And as we're tapping, we're kind of accessing our subconscious, which is where we hold and store a lot of past information. And a lot of that kind of comes up while we're tapping these points. So it's a little bit different than talk therapy traditionally is. It's just this extra layer of energy healing that doesn't take place in an actual therapy session where you're just speaking one on one with someone. So it really accesses those memories, and it's very powerful. And I've seen so many shifts in people's, actually their physical being. I mean, their facial expressions will change. They will cry. They will let emotions out. They will sometimes laugh. There's all kinds of ways to show that things are shifting that I can see and that you can feel during a session. Sometimes you'll feel energy moving throughout your body. You'll say, I feel a tingling sensation, or it feels warm. And this is a sign that this energy is flowing and moving in a different direction. And so, what we want to do is change the flow of that energy in our bodies to kind of manifest, if you will, a different outcome for whatever it is that you need help with.
This EFT is very important. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. And some people might also be wondering how long it does take. So, how long do you think a typical EFT season lasts, and how many seasons do you think are usually needed to see results, ma?
So, a session with me, if you're an adult, is 60 minutes at a time. And I see people all over the world via Zoom. I do see people in my home office here sometimes, but not usually. I see people all over the world. So, you don't have to be in person for this to work, even though there's an energy exchange. So, I like to see clients for the first 4 weeks. I like to see them once a week. It takes at least 4 sessions to notice a shift in a behavior, a change in a belief, a a change in a physical feeling, like if you came to me for pain, or if you're a hair puller or a skin picker, or you have a body focused repetitive behavior, it might take about 4 weeks to notice I forgot to do that behavior this day. I just completely forgot to do it. I didn't even remember. So there's or there might be a shift in a belief, like I think I might be able to stop this behavior. So it takes about four. That's why I say I offer a package of 4 sessions because it takes about four, but everyone is different. So I can't really pinpoint how long. I mean, I have clients that see me for a year or more. We'll clear the original problem that they came to see me for, and then they'll have other issues that they want to work on. And great, that's wonderful. So we'll work on those. And some people are still working on the same thing, and it just takes longer. It all also matters how much trauma you have, how much you're born with, how much has happened to you, kind of your past. So depending on how far we dig, and it really depends. Everyone is different, and that is the biggest question I get asked when I have a discovery call with a new client or a prospective client is, how long will this take? And there is no magic answer, and tapping is not a magic pill. It's just it also depends on how much you do it. The more you do it, it is cumulative, and tapping actually rewires your neural pathways. So if there's something that you want to overcome or a behavior that you want to change, um, the more you tap, the better and the quicker tapping works. So 5 minutes a day is all I ask my clients to do when they're not with me. But a 1 hour session once a week, at least for 4 weeks, and then we kind of reassess. Maybe you only need to go every other week, depending on how you're feeling. So it really depends on the individual, to be honest.
I would like to ask, what do you think, are there any misconception about EFT that you often encounter? And how do you also try your best to address this misconception?
Yeah. So if someone would go and search EFT on the internet
Mm.
and look on the Wikipedia page, there isn't good information there. I would not suggest someone to go and Google it and look on Wikipedia. There is also a plethora of really good information out there on the web, on my website, on other practitioners' websites, on Gary Craig's website. He is the founder of EFT. His website is emofree.com. There is the Tapping Solution website, tappingsolution.com. There's plenty of really good resources out there, but there's also a handful of people and resources they just think that it's bogus and it doesn't work. Um, the only thing I can tell you is if you're skeptical, to just try it. Because honestly, you don't have to believe in it. There is no actual believing in it. It works. So it's just a matter of getting someone to say, you know what, I guess I'll try it and see what happens. Because what actually happens in our body is that your cortisol is produced in your amygdala, which is the lower back part of your brain. And when we go into fight, flight, or freeze, that's our body's way of saying we're in trouble, where there's a fear, we need to spring into action to protect ourselves. Everyone, including animals, has this built-in kind of instinct that they get this fight, flight, or freeze. We as humans can manage it by tapping those points. And when you tap those points, it lowers your cortisol, and it's actually proven to lower your cortisol. There are MRI studies done that are published. There are also a lot of medical studies and medical uh, journals and things like that that have been published on what happens to your brain chemistry. So, in this MRI study that Dr. Peta Stapleton did, she is in Australia, and she took a group of people without tapping, and she showed them, these were people that overate. They had an addiction to food, and she showed them images of food and took an MRI of their brain and the activity that goes on when they're shown pictures of food that, hamburgers, French fries, potato chips, cookies, things like that. Um, and then had them do some tapping, a not a lot of tapping. I can't recall, but it was a very short amount of tapping. It wasn't even days. It was over the course of 20 minutes or an hour or something. And then she took another scan of their brains, and their brain chemistry actually changed. Their cortisol level was lowered, and they were calm. It showed different brain activity, different brain waves after tapping. And they also reported that they weren't nearly as hungry. So there are all kinds of studies done and good information. And even if it doesn't work for you, it can't hurt you. So it's a really good thing to do for anything. You can use it for anything. It doesn't have to be for something uh, specific. It can be used for anything. Even if you come to me for something specific to use it for, you can use it for the rest of your life. It's a tool that you will always have. And even if you have to do something as simple as make a decision about who knows what, just a simple decision or a hard decision that involves a business decision or something like that. You never want to make a decision when you are in fight, flight, or freeze mode. You never want to do anything really in fight, flight, or freeze mode. So our prefrontal cortex, which is in our forehead, gets hijacked when our our amygdala springs into action and tells us, hey, there's something going on here that's really bad, and you need to take care of yourself. You need to help yourself because you could be in trouble. And you never want to make a decision or do anything really when you're in that mode. So tapping, it re-engages your prefrontal cortex and lowers your cortisol so that you can make an informed decision and just live your life really the best way possible. So it's I hate to hear that there are people that are skeptical, because I think that they haven't tried it. And the benefits are, I changed my career to do this. This is how beneficial this was to me. I felt like this is so this works so well for so many different things that I need to teach this to people. So that's what I do.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. And that's will also dive us to the success stories. You've been doing this for years now. If I can remember, I think you said 6 years. You've been doing this for years now. You will definitely have people who are really, really, improved, who have success stories. So, are there any specific success story of people who have benefited significantly from this EFT, ma?
Yes, I have. So, one really cool success story happened the very first year I was practicing. It was in my home office here. It was someone local, and she came to me because she had frozen shoulder, which is you can't lift your arm up above your shoulder area. You can't lift your arm up over your head. And she said that she had tried everything. She'd been to the physical therapist, she'd been to the chiropractor, she'd taken medications. She couldn't lift her arm. She said she had no idea what was going on, but it was really getting in the way of her life. So she came to see me and we talked a little bit about what was going on with her. And she had also mentioned that her physical therapist was into a lot of energy medicine techniques and Reiki and things. And he had mentioned to her that he thought that the reason she couldn't lift her arm was something emotional. And when you tell someone that, they kind of think, oh my gosh, that's the stupidest thing. But this woman was very smart and very in tune with her body. And she thought, you know what? If it is something emotional, I'm going to figure out a way to get rid of it. So she found me, and when we talked a little bit more about her history and what was going on with her, she had a son that was about to go off to college. And this particular son, she had other kids, but this son was very needy of her attention because he had food allergies growing up, and he had all kinds of uh, physical problems that she monitored him very closely to make sure that he was safe all the time. And when she's getting him ready to go off to college, she said she's just so concerned for his well-being when he won't be with her. Like, what if something happens and she isn't there to, basically save him or give him his EpiPen or take care of him the way he needs. So she was really, really having a hard time with that. And I said to her, what, how do you feel about him leaving? And she said, my heart is broken. And when you think about when you're, just imagining your body, like everything is really connected to your heart center, and especially that arm, it's like very close. So we decided to do some tapping about her broken heart. And we did 2 rounds of tapping where we talked about and tapped about her having a broken heart, it being okay, her feeling extremely overcome with sadness that he was leaving, and overwhelm. And after 2 rounds of tapping, she could lift her arm up over her head before she even left my office. And she did, there was some tears. There were some tears that were very
Mm.
manageable, but we tapped through that, and it released right then. So that is a really good example of how emotional things can really keep you stuck in your life when you don't even realize what's going on.
Yes.
So that was an awesome success story. And I repeat that one often because I love it so much.
Yes, unimaginable. She never imagined that, and it definitely happened. That's very great. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. And what advice would you like to give to someone who wants to try EFT for the first time?
I think that you should just be open. If you've
Okay.
stumbled on EFT, which is what I did originally, I found it out of personal need. I was nursing my second son, and my hair pulling disorder was out of control. I didn't want to take any medication. I was stuck in this nursing chair. It felt like forever. He had colic. He never slept. I never slept. I was at my wit's end. And one night in the middle of the night when I was nursing him, I just Googled how to stop hair pulling disorder naturally. And I came upon some YouTube videos, and I taught myself how to do it. And it was like the rest is history. And then I found someone to train me to do it. And eventually, while I was getting certified, I overcame my hair pulling disorder. And regardless if I would have overcame it or not, still would have been my mission to help people with tapping, to overcome these body focused repetitive behaviors like hair pulling. But I also focus on other things too. Like I focus on phobias, anxiety, things that I have overcome personally. So many things happened, or so many things that are in my past now because of tapping. And all I can say is to try it and have an open mind when you do, because it's just um, you'll be amazed at the progress that you make, and the calmness that you feel when you're living your life, uh, living your best life, living your life to the fullest because of this little tool that you have that's kind of like literally at your fingertips anytime you need it.
Hmm, that's very nice. Thank you so much, Mrs. Elizabeth. And lastly,
Course.
there's a question I used to ask ma from the ancestors, from the forefathers. There's a lot of things that happened there, then that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything that you'd like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing would be, ma?
I actually I could say that specific to what I do, energy medicine, just more the our forefathers and our ancestors, they managed to get by with just what they had. They used, um, plants and other things that they found around them for medicinal purposes. And those things are so powerful. You wouldn't even, I mean, that's why they aren't regulated by the FDA, because there are so many plants and herbs that we could be using that they just don't have the time to do the testing on these natural medications that can, remedies that can be used to help. So I think that I would hope that at some point, although I know that they are widely used by a lot of people, that we could get back to maybe the roots of doing things more holistically, doing things more um, grassroots, I guess, if you will. It's that we don't. need medicine to cure us from all of our ailments. It's we have what we need around us, and I guess if you just take the time to do some research and you're willing to experiment, you could have a lot better outcome than using medication. Although drugs I have no problem with. I like to use as few as possible in my life. But and drugs are do miraculous things. So if you need drugs, I'm not discounting them at all, but I think that we often take for granted the use of just what's around us, what we can find in nature. And so I would like to see more of that or bring that back, bring us back to our roots there.
Yes, I completely agree. During that time, we used to have a lot of people, who use what is around them, live above 100, 120. They live longer because, they use what is around them to possibly heal themselves, even feed themselves at times. So that is really, really great, Mrs. Elizabeth. I want to personally thank you for, giving this information of EFT. I never know something like this does happen, but now I know. Thank you so much, ma.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
All right, ma. Bye bye.
Bye.